6 months. It has almost been 6 months since our last solo episode. Far too long, if you ask me. Welcome to The Growth Concept. I'm your host, Kearney Upton, and I'm on a mission to empower growth through these real, exact conversations. Now, the purpose for this episode is to walk you through the story on quitting my full-time job and the 5 lessons I've learnt from scaling my business so far. And I'm sure I have plenty more failures and lessons to learn. But the whole point of this is just to document the journey. Like, I'm 20 years old in Perth, Western Australia, building Perth's largest marketing service business, which is a big ambition. But with documenting the journey, I can look back on, especially you can look back and see bits and pieces where I went wrong and tailor that to your own experience. So starting off on what's been going on for the past 6 months. So it's been one of the biggest years of my life. So far, it's been hectic. So in February 2026, this year, I quit my full-time electrical apprenticeship after 3 years. I had so many people telling me, "Oh, you're so stupid for quitting your apprenticeship. What are you doing? That's security. It's certainty right there." Hence why it made this decision so hard, because it was guaranteeing certainty. It was guaranteeing me a paycheck, and I was keeping everyone happy. But I wasn't happy, and I knew something needed to change. And at this time of my life, I had my business, my podcast, my studies, working 40 to 50 hours a week, plus relationships and family time. I was maxed out. So looking in, I knew something had to change, and it wasn't going to be sacrificing my business. It wasn't going to be sacrificing the podcast or family or friends' life. So, well, that leaves me one option: full-time work. So that's exactly what I did. So easier said than done. I'm well aware walking away from your full-time job isn't easy, and it's not meant to be. But with my story and journey, I hope to inspire you so you realize that you're far bigger than just a paycheck. Your dreams are worth more than that guaranteed income you're going to get each week or month. And at first, it's hard to see that because it's that security. You're in your comfort zone. Think about how we have evolved over time. Like, if you're looking at the caveman days, the person who was so ambitious to explore new land and to try these new things often died. So we've evolved with that scarcity mindset of that security, because that's what kept us alive for so many years. So you're actually rewiring your whole brain, which isn't spoken about, but you have to do it. So let's go back in time. So this camera I'm recording on right now, I bought this May 2025, I think. What year is it? 2026. Yeah, May 2025. And let's go back in time even again. Okay, so I graduated school in 2023, graduated school with a piece of paper and a bunch of limiting beliefs. And I knew I wanted to get into business, but I didn't know what. So I was faced with a crossroads. I was doing a lot of work one day on figuring out what I should start, whether I should start consulting, sales, some e-commerce business or stock trading. And Mum said to me, "Kearney, you got to do something with your time. You can't just say you want to become this business owner when you have no product or service to offer." And I thought, okay, good point. So we got my apprenticeship. Because in the end of the day, I didn't know what I wanted to do. So getting a guaranteed paycheck is a good idea. If you do not know what you want to do, try a bunch of shit in a job. Like, get a job, get your paycheck, and just try so many different things. This is exactly what I did, and I eventually found it after 2 years of working a job I knew I didn't want to work for 40 years of my life. So I got my full-time job like a month after I graduated school. After working a few years in the trade, I knew this isn't something I wanted to do. So I had to find a solution. After weeks and months of reading up on so many different resources, I eventually knew what I wanted to get into, obviously podcasting. And I didn't realize at the time, but getting into this industry has brought me so many business connections, leads, and has helped me with my relationships tenfold. So how I identified this is I was breaking down my skill sets, what I hated, what I loved, what I was good at. I knew I was good at communication, building relationships. Okay, well, what can I build around that? And obviously the podcast came to mind. So that was July 4th, 2024. I came up with the podcast idea, launched September 3rd or 27th, 2024. And I've been consistent every week or every 2 weeks for 2 years, which has been incredible. I'm so thankful for you, for your support, and for the consistency of the show. It's been incredible. And then fast forwarding, if that's a word, fast forward to 2025, May, when I bought this camera for the first time. And when I realized that I can make this work, it all started to change. May 3rd, I bought the camera, and by the end of May, I was shooting professional real estate for a business mentor of mine. Shout out, Sam Moyer. You're an absolute legend, man. And yes, I got this job with having good energy and a network. I didn't have the skills to build from. So this is something that I needed to get skilled in. So we're doing a lot of research, market research, and just trying stuff. I got the gig. Yes, it was unpaid, and looking back at the footage now, it's so hard to watch. It was a start. That one experience brought me that confidence that I could build from moving forward. Fast forward to December 2025. I was getting my first paid gigs as a videographer, social media marketer. And from here, I knew that I could actually make a living out of this. It was December. I had around 4 clients working with me at the time, as well as studying. So I had business, around 4 clients, studying, working full-time, podcasting, relationships. I was stressed. I had so much on my plate. Would I take it back? Absolutely not. It's what made me realize on a lot of work and work. Like, you're working? Nah, you're not. Your capacity is actually a lot more than you think. And that's what that taught me, is I actually can do shit tons of my time when I'm under load and there's that urgency to make it work. So in December, I was shooting for the Wheatbelt Business Conference, a huge project that I got through Shil Shingavi. So thankful for you, my man. If you're listening to this or this part gets cut up on Instagram, having someone that actually believes in you will help you so much. When I met Shil Shingavi, I met Shil through networking. LinkedIn is a game changer. And with building the relationship with Shil, he has taught me what he's taught me, you couldn't learn in any book, movie, documentary, or article. It's actual experience he's taught me. And he's provided me work to get that experience as well, and that mentorship, which I'm so thankful for. Thank you, my man. And that job in the Wheatbelt in Northern for the Wheatbelt Business Conference made me realize, as I was saying, I can make this work. So December 2024, I was maxed out, pretty stressed, and with asking work for more time off, they eventually started saying no. And I thought, at the time, I was like, this is bullshit. I'm working for a company and they're not allowing me to pursue my dreams and make it work. And that's when I realized this is going to end a lot quicker than I thought. Either I'm going to get let go, or I'm going to have to quit to pursue something I know is worth pursuing. And it got to the point, it was January 2026, this year. I actually felt super sick because I was trying to balance too many things. To an extent, I think it was burnout and also being super run down with having a lot on my plate. And with calling in sick with work, I realized work didn't actually give a shit about me. I was just a number in the system. I would call them up pretty much on my deathbed, couldn't even function properly, in my room just sleeping all day. They did not care. And it made me realize I'm not valued. I didn't feel like I was valued, at least. And I knew I had to step away to do something I actually want to do and I know is worth my time. Once I got better, I was working, I was miserable, I was just sick of it. And I had a public speaking speech at Watercourt. At the time, it was a paid gig, and I said to work, I'm like, look, I really need this day off. They said no. And I'm like, damn, okay, well, let's call in sick. So I got a doctor's note. They were super sus about it. And another gig came up for Watercourt, a public speaking gig. And I'm like, I need this day off. And they said no. And I'm like, okay, that's it. I'm done. Handed in my resignation. 2 weeks, cold and sick the first week because I was actually sick, and then worked the last week, finished off strong as we do. And then I was in, the world was my oyster. I had quit my apprenticeship with the fear of, obviously, fear of judgment, what my family and friends were going to think. Financial pressure was huge. I was pretty stressed for the first few weeks on not getting cash flow. But luckily, I had an emergency fund and extra money saved up from working the job. And then I was faced with the reality of a startup business in 2026. I still have bills to pay. And I have no money coming in. So I scratched my head one day and I'm like, looking at a blank piece of paper, I'm like, how can I make this work? How can I get more jobs? And I literally sat down for hours and brainstormed different ways I could get more work. It started with cold calling, the cold calling content at the time. And that got me, I think, 6 to 10 jobs, which was insane. Networking events was a huge referral and a lead gen for myself. And one thing I've found in Perth is networking is a far better return on your time investment, in my opinion and in my experience so far, than cold calling, all these cold approaches, because with networking, you're going there to network with people, build relationships. And one big thing I've learnt with business is, in school, I thought business was business, transactional. Okay, I give you money and I get this service or product. But business is actually relationships. Building relationships, nurturing these relationships, and business most likely will come from nurturing these relationships. Something I got backwards for a few months with working for myself. So with growing that way, I now have a team of 2 editors that contract to me. I am the director of my own company as of Monday, the week just gone. So we're ticking away, we're making it work, we're getting some pretty good rewards out of this, and it's something I absolutely love. I'm fulfilled, I love what I'm doing, and it's crazy to think that I spent so many years working a job I hate because I was held back by fears. It doesn't make sense. So anyone who comes to me and be like, oh, I don't know what to do, I'm stuck, and I don't know where to channel my attention and time, because I know I don't want to work this job for the rest of my life. The one thing I say to whoever asks this is, 1, try a bunch of shit. Try so much stuff, man. You have time right now. Or if you're afraid of that, just read. Read books that actually provide value. For example, the first book I ever read is What Colors Your Parachute for Teens. This book made me realize on my skill sets what I'm actually good at. So in that way, I could channel all my energy and time to what I was good at versus being super diverse and average at a bunch of things like what school bloody teaches you, which doesn't even make sense. So with breaking that down, I knew what to build from. Obviously, the podcasting sides of things led me to the business, which I'm now doing full time. So yeah, trying a bunch of things is crucial. Reading is crucial, and networking. Networking, talking to a lot of people in different professions will allow you to pick up skills and traits that you want to adapt moving forward into your business journey. Whether that is a certain communication style you strongly value or that resonates with you. And with connecting with different like-minded people and people with different beliefs, you are then building the foundation of your business journey that you can build from. This leads me into the 5 business lessons I have learnt with hosting my business for a year and the podcast for almost 2 years. Straight away, network. This is number 1 business lesson I've learnt. So when I first started the podcast, my network was super small. I didn't have any professional connections because after all, I just graduated school. So how I grew my network was LinkedIn, Eventbrite, and Humanitics, I think the event hosting platform is called. And I would attend 10 events a week, 2 a day. And this would grow my circle of influence and the circle of network that I have. And eventually it got to a point where I was no longer reaching out to people to do podcasts. They were reaching out to me. I was being discovered by professionals in their field to then collab on a podcast. And that experience of growing my network taught me the valuable lesson on, if you're in Perth, networking, we thrive off connections here in Perth. If you're not networking in Perth, no one knows about you unless you have a strong personal brand. But even that is networking. So I was faced the very same challenge when I quit my full-time job, the lack of clientele network. So what did I do? Apply the exact same principle from growing the podcast to growing my business. Events, Eventbrite, reading books, going to these networking events. I kid you not, it was a month and a half ago, I went to an event every single day to try and build business relationships. The month just gone was the biggest month I've ever had in business. And the reward of that in relationships was priceless. And also the reward of that financially was worth more than working 4 months in a full-time job as an electrical apprentice, which is the spin out. So networking is the core pillar of anything in business. And leading onto that is lesson 2, which is relationships. Relationships first, before the pitch. I was at this one networking event when I first started networking for business, and I met this one lady, and I got her business card, and as soon as I got home, I sent her an email pitching my service. She later replied saying, "I really appreciate the email, Keone. Sending this email in a place of love. I don't appreciate the straight-up pitch. I'm a person who values the connection first." And this made me realize, I'm like, fuck. Oh, I fucked up that relationship. But yes, I did. I screwed up. I am a man. I'm stand up to my mistakes. I did screw up that relationship. I shouldn't have gone out and just pitched my service straight away. That's wrong. Like, we're humans. We connect with human connection. That's something I'm huge about in business. And from that very moment, I'm lucky that happened very early. I then adjusted my approach to relationships first. Put business aside for a second. Lean in and sit with the person that you're building this relationship with. Tell me your story. What do you believe? Like, tell me what was the most exciting time of your life when you're growing up going through school? And these conversations is what builds connections and builds relationships moving forward. That way, when the time comes right, be like, oh, your service could use, your business could use my service. Like, I would love to have that conversation with you. And because you've invested into the relationship and you've built that connection, it's far more likely to convert compared to if you're jumping in a business call hoping to sell your product or service, which you're not. The rate of success is far less compared to investing in these relationships. Lesson 3 in business, pitching and pricing proposition. So, this is something that I had to learn myself because remember that unit in school where we learnt about how to value your time, how to pitch, how to quote, how to pay tax? Yeah, we were all sick for that. Thanks, government. Thanks, school system. You're extremely outdated. And it pisses me off a little bit, a lot, because I had to learn these skills from mentors, from trial and error. I learned these skills with underquoting my time so much, with doing the math. I was paying myself $12 an hour. What the hell, Keone? So you only know what you know, right? And screwing up that one time taught me the value of my time. So then I could really sit down, how much is my time worth and how much do other people's time cost in the similar industry? With crunching these numbers, I could then pitch. And the way I go about pitching in a sales call or deal is give them the general numbers. For example, if you're looking at an event, hypothetically, this is one of my services that I offer. If I have a client coming to me to want to capture their event, of course, I know I'm priced at industry rates. I'm competitive. But I also know that telling a story with your event is going to convert and bring you the results you're after far more compared to if I was behind the camera pressing record, stop, record, stop. Like, it's beyond that. You need to come in with a plan. And a lot of people in this industry don't come in with a plan. So I sit down and I say to them, typically, after having a sit down, asking 5 strategic questions, typically, this is, what does the ideal version of success look like? What are your goals in the next 6 to 12 months? Because I'm not going to partner with someone if all they want to do is sell their product or service. Yes, that's a big part, but I want you to be more than that. You're not just a person selling a product or service. You're a person with a story. Emphasizing the story in your content and marketing strategy is what people buy from. If you don't believe me, look at Apple. Apple's marketing strategy is genius. If you have an Apple phone, you didn't buy that Apple phone just because you know it's good. You bought that Apple phone because you bought the creativity, innovation, and the outcome Apple has sold you. That is genius. Why aren't we all adapting our marketing approach to Apple's marketing approach? Sell the emotion, sell the outcome, and sell the result, not your product or service. Because after all, we all buy from people to people, not product or service. So we need to connect with people. And the way to do this is to tell a story in your content. So after breaking down all of that with the client sitting with me, whether it's in person over a flat white or cappuccino or over Zoom, we ask these questions, and then it will become the delicate stuff, the dollars and cents. And this is when I say, look, my pricing ranges from $800 to $5,000 for event coverage. Whereabouts do you sit in that? And shut up, let them answer. And if they have questions like, oh, why does it range so much? Then you can say, well, it depends what you're after. If you're wanting a 2-hour documentary on the story of each keynote speaker, of course that's going to be closer to $5,000 because the work is weeks of work compared to a couple of highlight reels where the cost and the time is far less. It's just one of those things you got to break down. When you give them the spectrum and range of the pricing of your product and service, then you can tailor the approach to their range. That's been a big learning curve, and this is something I'm still learning. Pricing and positioning is something I'm still learning to this day, and it's going to be something I'm going to be learning for a while because we're not taught this, and to an extent, you have to rewire your brain to think this particular way. Lesson 4, let's smash through this. Last 2, professional and personal branding. Your brand is your digital image online. For example, when you search up your name, does a random guy in Bali sipping a Bintang beer come up? Or do you come up? This is so important because when people search for you, whether this is a job interview, a business client, or a relationship that you're trying to build, they're going to research you. I research all my clients before I work with them because I want to make sure the person I'm working with is someone our values align, that I'm not just working with them for the sake of working with them. I want to make sure we have a similar belief system or value system, most importantly. The reason why I say this is your brand is your digital image online. With the world shifting more digital than ever before, this is so important because once you start posting, once you start building a brand, opportunities will find you because you are aligning yourself for these opportunities through your personal brand. Lesson 5, have a lead engine. What this means, I don't want to sound too technical or salesy, but have a lead engine. For example, for me, this podcast that I'm doing right now is non-for-profit. I do not want to make money. I've had people offer me brand deals through podcasting, but I don't want a bar of it because That's not why I'm doing it. Yes, I've gotten business from this podcast, and that is my lead gen. Through this, I'm sharing my story, my journey, and this is what potential clients listen to. This is, if they're probably listening to this right now. And this is what people buy into, the story of yourself. So structuring your lead gen, whether this is your short form content, long form content, a podcast, articles, or some sort of documenting your journey. And I strongly encourage this. This ties into the professional and personal branding side. Is if you don't have that foundation, you are invisible. No one knows you. And if you start posting, and a few fears I have come across for myself and clients and friends starting to post for the first time, we have fear of judgment. That's normal. We are community creatures. We thrive off connection. And the judgment of, oh, what are people going to think? Like, honestly, what are people going to think? What if people hate my stuff? What if I get hate messages? The amount of hate comments I've gotten online is beautiful. It's good. I love it. Because if you're getting hate comments, that means some people disagree with you, and that's fine. They're entitled to their opinions. Same with you. You're entitled to your own opinion and your belief, and that's 100% okay. Being yourself, being your authentic professional self is what people buy into, and that's what will help with lead gen and your professional and personal branding. So I've gone through I've been trying to keep this under 30 minutes, which we're on track to keep this under 30 minutes. I've gone through the journey I've had from shifting from being a third-year electrical apprentice, the fears of leaving this job to pursue my business, which income's not guaranteed, success isn't guaranteed. The only thing guaranteed is the reps that you put in. And crunching the math, the more reps, the more likely it's going to succeed. So do so much volume that is unreasonable for you not to succeed. I'm a huge fan of Alex Hormozi, and that quote is from him. Credit to him. And most importantly, have a support system. Like, if the only thing you take away from this episode is this, have a support system. Really look at your circle of influence, whether this is your family, your friends. Do they believe you? Do they believe in you? Because if they don't, I would seek new influences. Really find that mentor. And if this podcast is that for you, I'm so thankful and I'm fulfilled if it is. That's the whole purpose. If you have any questions, if you need any help whatsoever, whether this is content, please reach out. I'll be more than happy to have a conversation, helps contribute and steer you to a path which may work if that's something that I'm qualified to do. But you're most qualified to help the person you used to be. And if this episode resonated with you in any sort of way, please share it with someone. Help someone. It costs nothing. And the return on this information they may be able to get will be priceless. Thank you so much for tuning in to this episode on the growth concept. I am so stoked on the journey so far, and I'm so happy that you're here for the ride. That's enough from me. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and I hope to see you on the next one. Ciao.